The purple water was beautiful in the morning light. Hyun-woo Kim sat at the edge of his small boat and watched the alien sun rise over the ocean of Kepler 442b. The water here was not like Earth water. It glowed with tiny lights that moved like stars under the surface. Even after 6 months on this new world, the sight still made him smile. Hyun-woo was a marine biologist. He came to this planet to study the strange life forms that lived in these purple seas. Every day he found something new. Fish that sang to each other in colors. Plants that moved like animals. Coral that seemed to think and dream. Today he was looking for samples near the deep coral forests. The other colonists said these waters were dangerous. They told stories of large creatures with too many teeth and claws like knives. But Hyun-woo was careful. He had good equipment and years of experience diving in Earth's oceans. He put on his diving gear and checked his breathing tank. The water was warm against his skin as he slipped into the purple sea. Below him, the coral forest stretched out like an underwater city. The coral towers were as tall as buildings and glowed with soft blue light. Hyun-woo swam deeper. His collection containers were ready for new samples. He had found 3 new types of small fish yesterday. His research team back at the colony would be excited to study them. The deeper water was darker, but still beautiful. Strange jellyfish drifted past him like living lanterns. He took pictures and made notes on his waterproof tablet. Everything here was so different from Earth's oceans. Then he heard something that did not belong in this peaceful place. It was a sound of panic. High and sharp, like an animal in terrible fear. Hyun-woo stopped swimming and listened. The sound came again. It was coming from the direction of the old coral caves. The colonists had warned him about those caves. They were unstable and dangerous. He should have swum away. He should have returned to his boat and reported the sound to the colony security team. That was the safe thing to do, the smart thing to do, but the sound came again. This time it was weaker, more desperate. Something was dying in those caves. Hyun-woo swam toward the sound. His heart was beating fast inside his chest. As he got closer to the caves, he saw what had happened. Part of the coral cliff had collapsed. Huge pieces of coral and rock blocked the cave entrance. The water was cloudy with dust and debris. The desperate sounds were coming from inside the blocked cave. Hyun-woo swam closer. Through a gap in the fallen coral, he could see movement. Something was trapped inside the cave. Something big. He shined his underwater light through the gap. What he saw made him gasp and almost lose his breathing tube. It was an animal unlike anything he had ever seen. It looked like a wolf, but it was much larger than any earth wolf. Its fur was silver and seemed to glow in the water. But the strangest thing was that it had 4 arms instead of 4 legs. The front 2 arms had hands with long fingers. The back 2 were more like legs. The creature was drowning. Its breathing mask was broken. Water was getting into its lungs. It was thrashing wildly but growing weaker with each movement. Its eyes were wide with terror. Those eyes were not animal eyes. They were intelligent. They showed fear and pain and something else. They showed the knowledge that death was coming. Hyun-woo did not think. He acted. He swam through the gap in the coral. The space inside the cave was small and dangerous. Sharp pieces of coral floated everywhere. The creature saw him coming and thrashed harder. Its claws caught his diving suit and tore long rips in the material. But Hyun-woo kept swimming toward it. He spoke softly even though his words were lost. In the water, his voice was calm and gentle. Something in his tone seemed to reach the drowning creature. It stopped thrashing and looked at him with those intelligent violet eyes. Hyun-woo grabbed the creature around its chest. It was heavy and its fur was slippery in the water. He kicked hard with his fins and pulled it toward the gap in the coral. The creature helped as much as it could with its 4 arms. Getting through the gap was hard. The creature was big and the space was small. Coral scraped against both of them. Hyun-woo felt cuts on his arms and legs, but he did not let go. Finally, they were out of the cave. But the creature was still drowning. Its movements were getting weaker. Its eyes were starting to close. Hyun-woo swam up toward the surface as fast as he could. The creature was like a dead weight in his arms. He was not sure his air supply would last long enough. His own lungs were burning with the effort. The surface seemed very far away. The purple water above them was getting lighter, but not fast. Enough. The creature had stopped moving completely. Han Wu could not tell if it was still alive. His lungs were screaming for air. When they finally broke through to the surface, Han Wu gasped and filled his lungs with the alien air of this world. The creature floated beside him, not breathing. He pulled it to his boat and somehow got it up onto the deck. The creature was unconscious. Water poured from its mouth and nose. Its chest was not moving. Han Wu had never given CPR to an alien before. He did not know if it would work. But he had to try. He pushed on the creature's chest. Water came out of its mouth. He pushed again and again. He tilted its head back and breathed air into its lungs. The anatomy was different but similar enough. For long minutes nothing happened. Han Wu kept working. Push, breathe, push, breathe. His arms were tired and his back ached, but he did not stop. Then the creature coughed. Water sprayed from its mouth. It coughed again and rolled onto its side. Its chest began to rise and fall. Its eyes opened. Those violet eyes looked directly at Han Wu. There was no fear in them now. There was something else. Something that made Han Wu's heart skip. Gratitude. The creature tried to sit up. It was weak but alive. It looked at Han Wu for a long moment. Then it did something that shocked him. It placed one of its hands on its chest. Then it pointed that hand at Han Wu. The meaning was clear even without words. Thank you. You saved my life. Han Wu smiled and nodded. He pointed to himself and said his name slowly. Han-Wu. Double quotes. The creature listened carefully. Then it pointed to itself and made a sound that was like music. Kairen. They sat on the boat deck looking at each other. Two completely different species. One from Earth and one from this alien world. But in that moment, they understood each other perfectly. Han Wu had just made first contact with an intelligent alien species, and it had started with a simple act of kindness. He had seen a creature in trouble and helped it. Nothing more. Nothing less. But as he looked into Kairen's grateful eyes, he knew that this moment would change everything. For him, for the human colony. For both their species, he just did not know how much. Kairen was different from any animal Han Wu had ever seen. The alien creature sat on the boat deck and studied him with those bright violet eyes. Its silver fur was drying in the alien sun and seemed to shimmer with its own light. Han Wu tried to stay calm, but his hands were shaking. He had just saved the life of what was clearly an intelligent being from another world. This was the most important moment in human history, and it was happening on his small research boat. Kai-Ren made soft sounds that were almost like words. The sounds had rhythm and meaning even though Han Wu could not understand them. The creature pointed to different things on the boat and made different sounds. It was trying to learn. Han Wu pointed to himself again. Han Wu, he said slowly. Kairen repeated the name. The sounds were not quite right, but close enough. Then Kairen pointed to the water and made a long musical sound. Water, Han Wu said. He scooped up some of the purple ocean in his hands. Kairen listened and tried the word, water. Its voice was deeper than a human voice, but somehow musical. They spent an hour like this, pointing at things and sharing words. Kairen was a fast learner. Soon it could say simple words in English. Han Wu tried to copy the musical sounds of Kairen's language, but his human throat could not make the right tones. Then Kairen did something that amazed Han Wu. It reached into a pouch on its side and pulled out a small device. The device was smooth and curved like a seashell, but it glowed with soft light. Kairen held the device near its throat and spoke in its own language. The device glowed brighter. For a moment, then it spoke back in perfect English. Testing. Can you understand these words? Han Wu nearly fell off his seat. Yes, I can understand you. Kairen made a sound that might have been laughter. Good, this translator learns fast. I have been listening to your people talk for many months. My device has learned your language. You have been watching us? Han Wu asked. Yes, my people have been watching your colony since you arrived. We were trying to decide what to do about you. This news made Hyanwu nervous. What do you mean? Do about us how? Kairen was quiet for a moment. When it spoke again, its voice was serious. My people are called the Viridian Pack. We have lived on this world for thousands of years. When your ships came from the sky, we were afraid. We thought you might be like the others. What others? Other species that came to our world long ago. They took what they wanted and left destruction behind. We learned to hide from strangers, to watch them from far away. Hanwu felt sad hearing this. He thought about Earth's history. Humans had done terrible things to each other and to their planet. Maybe other species had good reason to fear them. But, Kairen continued, you saved my life. You risked your own life for mine. We did not expect this from the new strangers. Any decent person would have done the same thing, Hyanwu said. Kairen tilted its head. Would they? Are you sure about that? The question made Hyanwu think. He wanted to say yes, but he was not certain. He had seen humans do both wonderful and terrible things. I hope so, he said finally. Kairen seemed to like this answer. Hope is good. Hope means your people might be different. They talked for another hour. Kairen told him about the Viridian Pack. They lived in underground caves and used technology that was grown rather than built. They could talk to the plants and animals of their world in ways that humans could not imagine, but Kairen also told him something that worried Hanwu greatly. Your colony has a problem, Kairen said. Your machines are making the water sick. The sea creatures are dying. If this continues, the whole ocean will become poison. Hanwu thought about the equipment failures at the colony. The water purification systems kept breaking down. The atmospheric processors were working too hard. The colonists thought it was just bad luck or poor design. Can your people help us? Hanwu asked. Maybe. We have ways to clean water that your people do not know. But first, our leaders must meet your leaders. They must decide if humans can be trusted. I will help arrange a meeting, Hanwu promised. Just then, the sound of engines filled the air. 3 boats were approaching fast from the direction of the colony. Hanwu could see armed security officers on the boats. Kairen heard the boats too. Its body became tense and ready to fight or run. Those are my people, Hyanwu said quickly. I need to tell them you are a friend. The lead boat pulled up alongside Hyanwu's vessel. Dr. So-min Park jumped across to his deck. She was the colony's expert on alien life forms. Behind her came Captain Jinho Lee with several security officers. Hyanwu, are you hurt? Dr. Park asked. Then she saw Kairen and stopped talking. Her mouth fell open. Captain Lee raised his weapon, but Hyanwu stepped between him and Kairen. Stop. This is Kairen. I saved its life and it saved mine. We are friends. Step away from the creature, Hyanwu, Captain Lee ordered. We don't know if it's dangerous. It speaks English, Hyanwu said. Tell them, Kairen. Kairen looked at the humans with their weapons and spoke carefully. I mean no harm to your people. Hyanwu saved my life when I was drowning. I owe him a debt that can never be repaid, Dr. Park gasped. Incredible. The vocal structure, the intelligence level, this is amazing. Captain Lee kept his weapon ready but did not aim it at Kairen. What do you want from us? I want to help, Kairen said. Your colony is in danger. Your machines are poisoning the ocean. My people know how to fix this problem, but first our leaders must meet. Dr. Park and Captain Lee looked at each other. This was beyond their authority to decide. We need to contact Administrator Eugene Choi immediately, Dr. Park said. They used the boat's communication system to call the colony. Within minutes, Administrator Choi's voice came through the speakers. Dr. Park, what is your situation? Administrator, we have made first contact with an intelligent alien species. The creature, who calls itself Kairen, claims its people can help solve our water crisis. It wants to arrange a meeting between our leaders. There was a long silence. Then Administrator Choi spoke again. Bring everyone back to the colony immediately. We need to discuss this with the full council. As they prepared to leave, Kairen spoke quietly to Hyanwu. Your people are scared of me. I understand this. But will they listen? Will they let me help? I don't know, Haiyan Wu answered honestly, but I will do everything I can to make them. Listen, Kairen nodded. Then there is hope. And hope is the beginning of all good things. They headed back toward the human colony, carrying news that would change both their worlds forever. The colony meeting lasted for 6 hours. Administrator Eugene Choi listened to every word. The colony council asked Kairen hundreds of questions. Some council members were excited. Others were afraid. A few were angry. How do we know this isn't a trick? Asked Colonel Sung Min Kong, the military commander. Maybe they want to get close to us so they can attack. Kairen answered patiently. If we wanted to attack, we would have done it already. We have been watching you for months. We know where all your buildings are. We know how many weapons you have. If we meant harm, you would already be dead? This answer did not make Colonel Kong feel better. Dr. Somin Park was fascinated by everything. Kairen told them, the bio-neural technology you describe could revolutionize our understanding of organic computing. Your people have achieved something we thought was impossible. It is not impossible, Kairen said. It just requires a different way of thinking. Your people try to control nature. My people try to work with nature. Administrator Choi finally made the decision. Kairen, we accept your offer to meet with your leaders, but we have conditions. The meeting must be in a safe place. We will bring security officers. And Dr. Kim must be part of the delegation since he has your trust. Wu felt nervous about this responsibility, but he also felt excited. He was going to see how an alien civilization lived. The next morning, Kairen led a small group of humans into the wilderness. Besides Haiyan Wu, the group included Dr. Park, Captain Lee, and Dr. Yoon Young Nam, a physicist who specialized in energy systems. They traveled for 3 hours through thick forests of purple and silver trees. The plants here were different from anything on Earth. Some of the trees had leaves that chimed like bells in the wind. Others had roots that glowed with soft light. Your world is beautiful, Dr. Park said to Kairen as they walked. It is alive. In ways your world is not, Kairen replied. Everything here is connected. The trees talk to each other. The rivers carry messages. The rocks remember what happened long ago, Dr. Nam laughed. Rocks don't have memory. That's scientifically impossible. Kairen stopped walking and placed one of its hands on a large boulder. The rock began to glow with the same soft light as Kairen's fur. Images appeared in the light. Images of the forest when it was young. Images of strange creatures that lived here long ago. Dr. Nam stopped laughing. Her face went white. How is this possible? Science is not just about machines and math, Kairen said gently. Science is about understanding how life works. Your people understand some kinds of life. My people understand other kinds. They reached the entrance to the Viridian territory as the sun was setting. It looked like a crack in the ground, barely wide enough for one person. But when they climbed down into the crack, it opened into a huge underground world. The caves were enormous. The walls glowed with living light that pulsed like a heartbeat. Strange plants grew everywhere, but these plants were like nothing from the surface world. They moved and changed shape. Some of them seemed to watch the humans as they passed. Welcome to the deep home, Kairen said. The humans stared in wonder. The caves went on for miles in every direction. Other Viridians moved through the tunnels. Some walked on 4 legs like Kairen. Others had wings and flew through the larger chambers. A few were so different that Haiyan Wu was not sure they were the same species. Your people are very diverse, Dr. Park observed. We are one pack but many forms, Kairen explained. Some of us are adapted for swimming, some for flying, some for digging. But we are all connected through the neural web. They were led to the center of the underground city. Here was a chamber so large that Haiyan Wu could not see the ceiling. In the center of the chamber was a pool of glowing liquid. Around the pool sat dozens of Vered IANS. At the edge of the pool was the largest Viridian Haiyan Wu had seen. This one was ancient. Its fur was white with age and its body was covered with scars. but its eyes were bright and sharp. "This is Elder Shanwei," Kairen said. "She leads our pack." Elder Shanwei studied the humans for a long time before speaking. When she spoke, her voice was like wind through old trees. "Humans, you have come, far from your dying world." "Our world is not dying," Captain Lee said quickly. Elder Shanwei made a sound that might have been sad laughter. "Is it not? Your oceans are full of poison. Your air is thick with smoke. Your forests are gone. Your animals are dying. You came here to escape the death of your world." The humans were quiet. They could not argue with the truth. "But, Elder," Shanwei continued, "one of you saved the life of one of us. This gives us hope. Perhaps you have learned something from the death of your first world." She gestured toward the glowing pool. "This is the heart of the deep home. Through this we speak to the world spirit." "World spirit?" Dr. Nam asked. "The living consciousness of this planet. Every plant, every animal, every drop of water is part of a great mind. We are its thoughts. It is our soul." Elder Shanwei placed her hand in the glowing liquid. The pool began to pulse faster. The light grew brighter. And suddenly the humans could feel something, a presence. A vast intelligence watching them. Hyun-woo gasped. It was like being looked at by something bigger than the ocean. Older than mountains, patient as stone but alive as fire. "The world spirit has been trying to speak to your people since you arrived," Elder Shanwei said. "But you do not know how to listen. Your machines are too loud. Your thoughts are too fast. You cannot hear its voice. What is it trying to tell us?" "Dr. Park asked, "that it is dying. Your machines are poison to it. The chemicals you use to clean your water are like acid in its veins. The energy you take from the ground is like cutting away pieces of its heart." Dr. Nam shook her head. "But our equipment is clean. Our energy systems are environmentally safe." "Safe? For your kind of life, perhaps? But this world has a different kind of life. What is safe for you is death for the world spirit." Elder Shanwei removed her hand from the pool. The presence faded but did not disappear completely. Hyun-woo could still feel it watching. "We can teach you how to live here without killing the world spirit," Elder Shanwei said. "But you must change. You must learn to listen. You must learn to work with life instead of against it." "And if we don't?" Captain Lee asked. Elder Shanwei looked at him with ancient eyes. "Then the world spirit will die. And when it dies, everything else on this planet will die too. Including your colony. Including you." The chamber was silent except for the soft pulse of the glowing pool. "How long do we have?" Hyun-woo asked. "Weeks, perhaps." "Maybe less. The damage is spreading faster now." Dr. Park looked at the pool, then at Elder Shanwei. "What do you need from us?" "Trust, cooperation, and the willingness to let one of your people join with the world spirit so that it can understand your kind of life." "Join with it how?" Dr. Nam asked. "Through the neural web. One of your people must let the world spirit into their mind. They must become a bridge between your species and ours." Captain Lee stepped forward. "Absolutely not. We're not letting an alien consciousness into a human brain." "Then your people will die," Elder Shanwei said simply, "and so will ours." "The choice is yours." Hyun-woo looked around the chamber, at the glowing walls, at the ancient Viridian leader, at his fellow humans with fear in their eyes. He thought about the colony, about all the people who had traveled so far from Earth to start a new life, about the children who played in the colony gardens. He thought about Kairen drowning in the underwater cave, about the choice he had made to risk his own life to save a stranger. Sometimes he realized being human meant making impossible choices. "I'll do it," he said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. "I'll join with the world spirit." "No," Dr. Park grabbed Hyun-woo's arm. "You don't understand what you're volunteering for. We don't know what this will do to your mind. You could die. You could lose yourself completely." "He could also save everyone," Kairen said quietly. "Captain." Lee shook his head. "I can't allow this. Hyun-woo, you're too valuable to the colony. We need you alive and human." Elder Shanwei watched the humans argue. Her ancient eyes showed sadness. Time grows short. While you debate, the world spirit weakens. Soon it will be too late for any choice. Dr. Nam was studying the glowing pool with her scientific instruments. The energy readings are incredible. This isn't just biological activity. There's quantum resonance here. Molecular level organization that should be impossible in organic matter. Your science cannot explain. Everything, Elder Shanwei said. Some things must be felt rather than measured. Hen Wu pulled away from Dr. Park. I've made my decision. Someone has to try. If I don't do this, everyone in the colony will die anyway. But why you? Captain Lee demanded. Because the world spirit trusts me. Because I saved Chiron's life. Because sometimes the right person for a job is just the person who volunteers. Elder Shanwei nodded approvingly. Wisdom often comes from simple hearts. But before you make this choice final, you must understand what you are choosing. She gestured to the pool again. This time, when the light grew bright, images appeared in the glowing liquid, but these were not images of the past. They were images of now, of other worlds. The world spirit is not alone, Elder Shanwei explained. It is part of a great network. Hundreds of living worlds scattered across the galaxy, each one a conscious mind. Together they form something greater than any single planet. The images showed worlds of incredible beauty, planets where the ocean sang, worlds where the forests reached into space, planets where the very rocks were alive with thought and dream. For millions of years, these worlds have guided the growth of life in the galaxy. They are teachers, protectors, healers of broken spirits and wounded hearts. Dr. Nam stared at the images. You're talking about a galactic civilization based on living planets, not civilization as you understand it. Something deeper, something that values growth over conquest, harmony over control. New images appeared. These showed other species, beings of many shapes and forms, all living in peace with their worlds. Each species must prove itself worthy to join this network. They must show that they can live without destroying, that they can grow without taking more than they need. Captain Lee understood first. This is a test. You're testing humanity. The world spirit chose this world as a test for your species. It watched your people from across the galaxy. It saw the death of your homeworld. It saw your struggles and your pain. It wanted to give you a chance to prove you had learned from your mistakes. The images changed again. Now they showed Earth, but not the Earth as it was when the humans left. This was Earth as it had been long ago, green and blue and beautiful. Your world was once alive like this one, Elder Shanwei said. It had its own world spirit, young and hopeful and full of love for the life that grew on its surface. Haiyan Wu felt tears on his face. He had never seen Earth like this. None of them had. What happened to it? Dr. Park whispered. It died slowly and in great pain. Your ancestors could not hear its voice. They took and took until there was nothing left to take. The world spirit of Earth died 300 years ago. The chamber was completely silent. Even the pulse of the pool seemed quieter. But before it died, Earth's world spirit sent out a message. A cry for help that traveled across the galaxy. It begged the other living worlds to save its children, to give humanity another chance. Elder Shanwei looked directly at Haiyan Wu. That is why you are here, not by accident, not by random exploration. You are here because a dying world loved you enough to ask for help. Haiyan Wu could barely speak. Our world loved us? Loved you despite everything? Loved you enough to sacrifice its last strength to send that message. The question now is, have you learned to love in return? The images in the pool faded. Elder Shanwei stepped back from the glowing water. If you join with the world spirit, you will become a bridge between your people and the galactic network. You will help your species take its place among the living worlds. But you will also be changed forever. You will no longer be completely human. What will I become? Haiyan Wu asked. Something new. Something that has never existed before. Part human, part world spirit. You will keep your memories and your personality, but you will also carry the consciousness of this entire planet within your mind. Dr. Nam looked terrified. The human brain can't handle that kind of information load. It will burn out his neural pathways. Human brains are more adaptable than... Elder Shanwei replied, especially when guided by love rather than fear. Kairen moved closer to Hyenwu. I have seen your heart. I know your courage. You saved my life without thinking of reward or recognition. You acted from pure compassion. The world spirit needs that kind of heart. But what about the colony? Captain Li asked. If Hyenwu changes, how do we know he'll still care about human interests? Elder Shanwei smiled for the first time since they had arrived. That is exactly why he is the right choice. You fear he will stop caring about humans. I believe he will care about them more than ever before. Hyenwu walked to the edge of the glowing pool. He could feel the presence of the world spirit waiting beneath the surface. Ancient and patient and tired from carrying so much pain. Will it hurt? He asked. Yes, Elder Shanwei said honestly. Growing always hurts, but not more than you can bear. Hyenwu looked at his fellow humans. Dr. Park was crying. Captain Li looked angry and afraid. Dr. Nam was taking readings with her instruments, trying to understand with science what could only be understood with faith. If something goes wrong, Hyenwu said, tell the colony that I chose this freely. Tell them I did it because I believe humans can be better than we have been. He knelt beside the pool and put his hands in the glowing liquid. The world spirit rushed into him like a river of stars. Pain exploded through his skull. But it was not the pain of destruction. It was the pain of expansion. Of a mind growing beyond its previous limits. Suddenly he could feel everything. Every tree in the forest. Every fish in the ocean. Every grain of sand on every beach. The planets. Thoughts became his thoughts. Its memories became his memories. He saw the birth of worlds. The first spark of life in primordial seas. The slow growth of consciousness across millions of years. The joy of the living worlds when they first found each other across the vast emptiness of space. He felt their sorrow when worlds died. Their celebration when new species learned to live in harmony with their planets. Their hope that someday all life in the galaxy would be connected in one great web of understanding. And he felt their love. Love for every creature that had ever lived. Love for every world that had ever tried to nurture life. Love even for the species that made mistakes, that caused pain, that sometimes forgot how precious life was. The world spirit showed him Earth's death, not with anger or blame, but with infinite sadness. It had tried so hard to guide humanity. It had sent dreams and visions. It had made the consequences of destruction clear. But humans had been too young, too frightened, too sure that they could solve everything with cleverness and force, but Earth's world spirit had also seen humanity's potential, their capacity for love, their ability to sacrifice for others, their stubborn refusal to give up hope even in the darkest times. That was why it had used its dying strength to call for help. Not because humans were perfect, but because they could become something wonderful if given another chance. Now, Hyenwu understood his purpose. He was not just a bridge between species. He was proof that humans could change, that they could grow beyond their fears and mistakes. He was the answer to a dying world's final prayer. When the visions faded, Hyenwu opened his eyes. But they were not completely human eyes anymore. Flecks of violet light danced in them like tiny stars. He looked at his friends and smiled. I'm still me, he said, but I'm also more than me now. And for the first time since the colony was founded, he knew exactly how to save both worlds. Hyenwu stood beside the glowing pool, but he was no longer the same person who had entered the cave. The violet light in his eyes pulsed gently with the rhythm of the world spirit's heartbeat. When he spoke, his voice carried harmonics that had not been there before. I can feel it dying, he said quietly. The world spirit is in so much pain. Our machines are like poison in its bloodstream. Every day we delay, more damage spreads through the planetary neural network. Dr. Park stared at him with wonder and fear. Haiyan-Wu, are you still do you? He smiled, and it was the same warm smile she remembered. But there was something deeper behind it now. Something vast and patient. I'm still me, So-Min. But I'm also connected to something much larger. I can feel every living thing on this planet. I know what they need to survive. Captain Lee kept his weapon ready but did not aim it. How do we know you're not compromised? How do we know this alien consciousness isn't controlling you? Because, Haiyan-Wu said, I still care about the colony. I still want to save human lives. But now I also understand that we can't save ourselves by destroying everything else. Elder Shanwei watched the exchange with ancient eyes. The joining is complete. But joining is only the beginning. Now comes the hard part. Your people must choose to change their ways. Dr. Nam was studying her instruments frantically. The energy patterns are incredible. Haiyan-Wu's brain activity has increased by 300%, but somehow his neural pathways are stable. This should be impossible. Many things seem impossible until they happen, Chiron observed. Haiyan-Wu walked closer to his fellow humans. As he moved, the living plants in the cave responded to his presence. They glowed brighter and turned toward him like flowers following the sun. I need to return to the colony, he said. There isn't much time. I can show them how to modify our systems to work with the world spirit instead of against it. What kind of modifications? Dr. Park asked. Haiyan-Wu closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, they were completely filled with violet light. The atmospheric processors need bioorganic filters. Living systems that can clean the air without poisoning the planet. The water purification plants must use symbiotic organisms instead of chemical treatments. And the power grid needs to be integrated with the planetary neural network. Dr. Nam shook her head. That's impossible. Our technology doesn't work that way. We can't just grow new equipment. We can, Haiyan-Wu said simply. The Viridians will teach us. But first, the colony leadership must agree to work together. Captain Lee frowned. Administrator Choi will never approve such radical changes. And Colonel Kong will consider you compromised. They might not even let you back into the colony. Then I'll have to convince them, Haiyan-Wu replied. All of them. Elder Shanwei stepped forward. The young bridge builder speaks wisdom. But convincing your leaders will not be enough. The changes must happen quickly, days, not weeks. Why so fast? Dr. Park asked. Haiyan-Wu answered before Elder Shanwei could speak. Because the damage has reached a critical point. The world spirit's immune system is starting to shut down. If that happens, the ecosystem collapse will be irreversible. They traveled back to the colony in tense silence. Haiyan-Wu moved differently now. His steps were perfectly balanced, as if he could feel the planet's surface through his feet. Sometimes he would stop and touch a tree or a rock, and it would glow briefly in response. When they reached the colony, word of their return spread quickly. Administrator Eugene Choi called an emergency meeting. The entire colony council gathered. In the main conference room, Haiyan-Wu entered the room and every conversation stopped. The change in him was obvious to everyone. His eyes glowed with soft violet light. His presence seemed to fill the space around him. Dr. Kim, Administrator Choi said carefully, we were told about your transformation. Are you well? I'm better than I've ever been, Haiyan-Wu replied. I can see the solution to our problems clearly now. Colonel Kong stood up angrily. This is exactly what I was afraid of. They've brainwashed him. Turned him into some kind of alien puppet. I'm not a puppet, Haiyan-Wu said calmly. I'm the translator. I can help you understand what this planet needs from us. What it needs is for us to leave, Colonel Kong snapped. We should evacuate the colony immediately. Where would we go? Dr. Park asked. Earth is dead. The other colony ships haven't found habitable worlds. This is our only chance. Administrator Choi raised her hand for silence. Dr. Kim, explain what you learned about our situation. Haiyan-Wu moved to the center of the room. As he spoke, the lights seemed to dim and brighten, in rhythm with his words. This planet is alive. Not just covered with life, but actually conscious. Our equipment is poisoning its nervous system. If we don't change our methods within the next few days, the planetary consciousness will die. And when it dies, the ecosystem will collapse completely. Even if that's true, said engineer Taeho Song, we can't rebuild our entire infrastructure in a few days. It would take months to design new systems. We don't have to design them, Hyun-woo explained. The Viridians have the technology we need. They can teach us to grow our equipment instead of building it. Living systems that work with the planet instead of against it. Council member Hai Won-young looks skeptical. And what's the cost of this cooperation? What do the aliens want in return? Nothing, Hyun-woo said. They want to help because they believe humans can change. Because they believe we can learn to live without destroying. Colonel Kong laughed harshly. Nothing? I don't believe that for a second. There's always a price. Hyun-woo looked directly at him. The price is that we have to change. We have to give up the idea that we can control nature and learn to work with it instead. For some people, that's the hardest price of all. Administrator Choi studied Hyun-woo's glowing eyes. What exactly are you proposing? Full cooperation. With the Viridians, they'll help us modify our systems. In return, we share our knowledge with them. We become partners instead of strangers. And if we refuse? Colonel Kang asked. Hyun-woo's expression grew sad. Then we all die. Humans and Viridians alike. The world spirit is the foundation of all life on this planet. Without it, nothing can survive here. The room was quiet for a long moment, and Dr. Park spoke up. I vote to accept the proposal. We came here to build a new life. This might be our only chance to do it right. One by one, the other council members voiced their opinions. Some were afraid. Others were hopeful. A few were angry about being forced to change their plans. In the end, the vote was close. But it passed. Administrator Choi nodded formally. Dr. Kim, you have the colony's authorization to coordinate with the Viridian leaders. Do whatever is necessary to save both our peoples. The next 3 days were like nothing anyone had ever experienced. Viridian engineers worked alongside human technicians. They grew new equipment from seed-like devices that sprouted into complex organic machines. The atmospheric processors were the first to be changed. Instead of metal filters and chemical scrubbers, living coral structures grew throughout the machinery. These coral filters could clean the air while feeding nutrients back to the planet's neural network. Dr. Nam watched in amazement as a water purification plant transformed before her eyes. Viridian bioengineers planted small seeds in the machinery. Within hours, the seeds had grown into a complex network of living tubes and chambers. The new system cleaned water better than the old chemical processors, but it did so by working with microscopic life forms instead of killing them. This is impossible, Dr. Nam muttered for the 100th time. Biological systems can't grow this fast. Kairen, who was working beside her, made the musical sound that meant laughter. Impossible is just another word for something you don't understand yet. Throughout the colony, similar transformations were taking place. The power grid was integrated with glowing fungal networks that carried energy like biological circuits. Food production systems were enhanced with symbiotic organisms that made the soil richer instead of depleting it, but the most dramatic change was in Hyun-woo himself. As the modifications progressed, his connection to the world spirit grew stronger. He could feel the planet's health improving with each system that came online. The poisonous chemicals were being neutralized. The damaged neural pathways were beginning to heal, but he could also feel something else. A presence vast beyond imagination. Reaching out across the galaxy. On the third night, as the last of the critical systems came online, Hyun-woo stood alone on the colony's observation deck. The alien stars seemed brighter than usual, and in his mind he could hear voices. Hundreds of them, thousands. The galactic network of living worlds was welcoming Earth's children home. Dr. Park found him there an hour later. The final systems are operational, she reported. All readings are stable. The world spirit's vital signs are improving rapidly. Hyun-woo nodded but did not look away from the stars. Can you feel it, So-min? The network is activating. We're being accepted. She followed his gaze upward. What does that mean for us? It means we're not alone anymore. It means humanity has passed the test. We've proven we can change. We can grow. We can learn to live without destroying. And what about you? She asked quietly. Are you still human? Han Wu finally looked at her. His eyes were completely violet now, but they still held the warmth and kindness she remembered. I'm what humanity is becoming, a bridge between worlds, a translator between different kinds of life. Over the following weeks, more changes came to the colony. Children began to show signs of enhanced intuition, able to sense the planet's moods and needs. Adults found themselves more in tune with the natural rhythms of their new world. Ships arrived from the galactic network, not to conquer or control, but to teach and welcome. Species that had learned to live in harmony with their worlds came to share their knowledge. The human colony grew into something unprecedented. A place where multiple species worked together, where technology and nature were partners rather than enemies. And at the center of it all was Han Wu, no longer fully human but more human than he had ever been. His simple act of saving a drowning alien had opened the door to humanity's future among the stars. He often thought about that moment in the purple ocean. How a single choice made from compassion had changed everything. How the decision to risk his own life for a stranger had ultimately saved his entire species. Years later, when children asked him about the early days of the colony, he would tell them about the importance of small acts of kindness. How saving one life can sometimes save all life. How being human isn't about the shape of your body or the color of your blood, but about the willingness to help others when they need it most. And sometimes, when the alien moons were full and the bioluminescent ocean glowed with extra brightness, he would return to the spot where he first met Chiron, where a marine biologist from Earth had pulled a drowning alien from the purple waters and accidentally saved 2 worlds in the process. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, but it all began with one simple truth that Han Wu had always known. When someone is drowning, you jump in to save them, no matter who they are, no matter what they look like, because that's what it means to be human, and that's what it means to be worthy of the stars.